get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo. And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here with you. So glad you could be with us, whether you're listening at www.behindenemylinesradio.us, the new and improved website. Check it out if you haven't already. Or if you're checking us out on AM radio, FM radio, the internet radio, we're glad you tuned in, locked and loaded with us. Or if we're traveling along with you as a podcast, we're happy to be along for the ride. It's personally my favorite show of the year. It is now, and I can't believe I'm saying this, the 7th installment of Behind Enemy Lines Radio's Buffoon of the Year competition. On the line, as always, the greatest co-host in the history of co-hosts, Russ Gallo. Russ, how you doing, my brother?
And arguably buffoon of the last 7 years in some circles.
Oh, stop that. And also joining us, as he does every year around this time, it's an honor to welcome to this show 2015 Reverend Al Sharpton Fellow of the Behind Enemy Lines Institute for Examination of Buffoonology and Existential Research. We call it Belieber for short. Matt Fairley. Matt, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, guys. How are you guys been?
A little bit of business, folks, before we start with the fun that is Buffoon of the Year. This year, we are partnering with one of our sponsors. The good people at Less Government, More Fun are working with us to create a whole line of swag for Buffoon of the Year in celebrating that. I can't believe we did this, but we have t-shirts now with all different buffoons on them, and they're available on Teespring. We're going to put a link on the site, and we're going to keep them going every 2 weeks or so. We'll rotate through, and people can order different designs. It's going to be great. In putting together this list of buffoons, we didn't go to the obvious. I mean, we could have put Hillary Clinton in there, and she would have won the whole thing, but what fun would that be? I would have to come up with another month of shows, because Hillary would win, everybody would know it would be a wash, and that would be the end of that. We could have done that with any number of people. We could have done that, we could have named Antifa, but we kind of did and we kind of didn't. We could have named a whole host of different people. There's so many out there, but at the end of the day, Matt, these 16 that we came down to, probably the most competitive Buffoon of the Year field we've put together.
The best part about any kind of bracket is the competition. You want people to be able to look at it and say to themselves, oh man, I really want to see how that one turns out. I really want to see how this one, how the chips fall on this one. I think we did a really good job of getting a decent group of people in there.
Decent, I don't think is the word that I would use, but maybe
everything being relative.
Yeah, seriously. We're going to go through, obviously we'll ask everybody who they think should be on the list, Jimmy on the list, but here's what Buffoon of the Year is. When Russ and I started doing this radio stuff, we came up with a concept called Buffoon of the Week. In a former life when we were working for Brooklyn GOP Radio. And people got really offended by it. Remember, Russ? We picked some, we picked some innocuous person. People were like, you really shouldn't do that because you're going to offend some people. And we were like, this is a revolution. We got to offend somebody. So we kept on doing it. It turned into Buffoon of the Year, where we take all the buffoons from the week past and we, put it out for a vote. It started out locally, like everything that we did here started out as. And it's just grown into this, now we got t-shirts and stuff. Russ, when you think back at Buffoon of the Year, I know it's my favorite time. Is this your favorite time of the year when we start to poke fun at people and stuff?
Oh, it's a blast because remember we started out doing it locally, and that's what really pissed people off. A lot of the local in our own party, we're like, oh, you can't put this guy on there; it's gonna offend them. Look, buffoons come in all flavors and parties, not for nothing.
Here's what's going to happen, folks. We're going to give you the class of 2017, 16 very credible buffoons, in our opinion. And we're going to ask you to whittle it down to an ultimate Buffoon of the Year that will be unveiled on our first show in 2018. But the way we whittle it down is you vote. You go to www.behindenemylinesradio.us. You vote for who you think is the biggest buffoon in the matchups that are there, and then the winners move on to the next round and the next round until you get to a final round. Sort of like the NCAA tournament, only much more fun and less injuries. We revised the voting. We are not doing it just at www.behindthemallionsradio.us. There will be brackets up on Facebook, on our Facebook page. The Twitter pages for the show will have it as well, and we'll tabulate all the results. The results will not be known until the show next week, because you won't have that running tally that you had last year that people would say, oh, I got to vote for so-and-so because he's falling behind. None of that no more. I took care of all yous.
Very nice job. It's looking real nice. If you haven't been to the website in a while, you got to check it out. Gene's really been putting some work in here. Somebody's got it.
Somebody's got it, right? So we've broken it down. Matt, let's break it down. We have the politician bracket, we have the entertainment bracket, we have the media bracket, and then we have the wild card. Where do you guys want to start? We can go in order. We can go politician and go down the line like we have in the article that just went up. But where do we want to start? We want to start politician, media. There's a whole host of buffoonery, but we got to get to it all. Don't jump in so quick.
I mean, let's stay right in order on the website here. I like
Russ likes order. Russ likes order. Okay, so we're gonna.
That is a understatement.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So we're gonna start with the politicians bracket. Now, a little bit of background in this. There were so many choices out there that we could have gone with. These four, and you'll see it in the article. Any one of them could have been a number one seed. So in the Buffoon of the Year first, we have nothing but number one seeds. Matt and I were getting into an argument on this particular first matchup about who should be the number one seed and who should be the number four seed, and we couldn't come to an agreement. So, hell, everybody's a number one in the politicians bracket because everybody wants to be number one when you're a politician, so we might as well give it to you when you are the dumbest politician of 2017. Round number one, Matt Fairley bringing out for us Maxine Waters versus Tom Price.
Well, we have, and this is where you and I really had our disagreements because, you are on Team Maxine and I'm on Team Tom, and that's the way it is.
Because Matt Fairley likes to eat his own.
Yeah. Yes it is. We have someone who has played the race card in a way that was just completely hilarious in that, there was nothing behind it. And she's someone who's very hypocritical in who she is, how she acts, and the life she wants to put forward and the life that actually exists. And it's just par for the course with her. Where you have Tom Price, who was a cabinet secretary who couldn't get his main legislative goal passed, who got fired less than 6 months into the job for misusing public funds. I mean, you're a Republican who's supposed to be you're supposed to be from the party of small government, supposed to be from the party of good government and no government waste, and you're using private jets to fly to your own property. So, you have a really rich plethora of buffoonness running through this entire vein here. So it's a really good matchup. I think, my choice would be Tom, but hey, your mileage may vary.
And that's a great way to put it. Listen, Auntie Maxine, what can you say about, if she isn't the female Reverend Al, I don't know what is. A woman who's lived off of the public dime for decades, has made millions as a politician, and if you're doing that, you gotta be doing something wrong. But not only that, she represents a district that is the largest minority-majority district. The minority population in the district is huge. In the district. Yet she lives in a very rich area outside of her district, we might add, where the minority population is 6%. But then you put on top of that the Trump hatred, the Trump derangement syndrome, which is going to be sort of a prevalent theme throughout this whole thing. And how do you come up with a more perfect buffoon than that? The answer may come later on in the other brackets, but Maxine Waters is just a prototypical buffoon. As for Tom Price, yeah, he had one job, and he didn't do it. He was supposed to, work on the repeal and replacement of Obamacare, and he didn't do it. And not only did he not do it, he violated federal travel regulations by using a private jet funded by the government to take him to, different events. And then later on, he'd go in his property or he'd take his son somewhere and things like that. Harmless fun, right? Not at all. It's totally against what President Trump was trying to put together. So while I see the argument for them being number one, Maxine Waters is still number one in my book. It's just hilarious. I guess we'll let Russ be the tiebreaker on that one.
Well, Gene, in an odd turn of events, I agree with you. I mean,
there's one.
I feel like Matt has some little double standard here. I mean, Matt, the basic test for me would be, who would you rather have do anything in your house for you, Price or Waters? I mean, that to me comes down to it. We often compare people to Al Sharpton and say, oh, this guy is like the Jewish version of Al Sharpton. Well, I'll tell you what, Maxine Waters is like the black female version of Maxine Waters. She's a retard. She, I mean, for real. Price did some dumb things, but Maxine Waters is a dummy. So it's hands down in this bracket. Maxine Waters all the way.
Matt, feel free to respond anytime you want.
Well, I mean, as I tried to explain to you earlier, Gene, when we were hashing the brackets out, context matters and size matters. Maxine Waters is a backbencher. No, she's not a backbencher. She's a senior member of the Democratic Party, but she's in the minority in the House, which means she's basically powerless. If you're a minority congresswoman in the House of Representatives, you're not getting anything done if you're in the minority party. That's just the way it is. Whereas, Tom Price was a cabinet secretary. He had real power. He had real ability to get things done, and he squandered it to live the good life as one can off the government dime. And that, I think, is really, really, really buffoonish when you look at, the amount of power he had, the amount of responsibility he had that he threw away, and that's really the buffoonishness right there.
Russ, you get the last word.
Yes,
go ahead, Russ.
May I please? So speaking of power, I mean, according to Article 1, Section 8, Ms. Waters has the power to regulate interstate commerce, raise taxes, and declare war. So she has some pretty significant powers, according to the Constitution. Price really doesn't have many. He controls a very small office in the grand scheme of things.
All right, well, let's leave it at that. We don't want to give it all away, guys, because we want the voters to weigh in as well. And, they'll get to do that at www.behindthemilionsradio.us. The other half of the politicians bracket, two other number one seeds, and again, this is going to need some explanation as well. Al Franken versus James Comey. Now, we need to make one thing straight here on the show before you start sending me angry emails and tweets and Facebook messages. We here at Behind Enemy Lines do not want to make fun of sexual misconduct. No, we don't. I know, I'm surprised too. We're not going to do it. But what we are going to do is recognize hypocrisy even in those people who committed such alleged or proven sexual misconduct. You don't see Harvey Weinstein on the list. You don't see Kevin Spacey on the list because really what they're really known for this year is their sexual misconduct only. Al Franken, and you know what? We're going to call it the Franken rule for this year. Al Franken has done so much more than just try to grab someone on a USO tour or grab someone's butt during a photo op or all the other things that he's being pressured to resign for now. There was also Al Franken, the grandstander, with Neil Gorsuch. There was Al Franken, the hypocrite, when he was trying to go against Betsy DeVos's nomination for Secretary of Education and talking about public schools over charter schools when his own children are going to schools with tuition of $30,000 a year. There was also the Al Franken who showed a lack of self-awareness when it came to criticizing the president for using, overtly racist or sexist terms like Pocahontas for Elizabeth Warren, yet he did the exact same thing during his tenure. So there's other reasons, Russ, for Al Franken to be there.
I mean, you're directing that towards me for some reason. I will make fun of the things you said we won't make fun of, so I'm going to leave it there.
I sent it to you because I knew you'd disagree with me on it. But listen, if a voter wants to vote for that other reason, that's up to them. We're not going to stop anybody. We're not going to stop people at our virtual poll booth and say, why are you voting for Al Franken? Or why are you not voting for Al Franken? It's their choice at the end of the day. But
I
Matt,
honestly thought you were putting Al Franken on there for his stint on Saturday Night Live, because I can't remember a single funny thing he's ever done. But all right, I'll stop.
Well, I agree with that. He wasn't exactly that funny. I mean, his movies bombed, so we had to run to Minnesota to be a senator. And as we know, Minnesota is bizarro land. It's the land of Jesse Ventura, right? So anyone can get elected there. Matt, talk to me about the Al Franken nomination.
Well, I mean, the problem with Al Franken isn't that he did terrible things to women. I mean, he did. The problem with him is just, first of all, the really, really just incredibly lame apology that he made. The kind of lame apology that sounded like, well, hey, I'm sorry you're offended, which is exactly what Democrats have for years been excoriating the Republican Party for every time one of our members or one of the Republican Party's members is accused of some kind of misconduct. The way that, they don't take it seriously. They don't listen to them. The Democratic Party, and Al Franken was one of them, has been very big on, we must take accountability. We must believe the victims. And then when it came to the fact that it was him, he was like, oh, well, I just don't remember it that way. And that's just really, really lame and really, really buffoonish. it's the kind of thing that you would expect from someone who just doesn't get it, and just not getting it is the harbinger, the call of the buffoon, if you will. So that's why he's there. Just a lack of self-awareness of why he's in trouble.
And going up against Al Franken is